even with, we are going to do some myth busting today.
All right, this is Todd Crandell from Racing for Recovery, correct, Todd?
Yeah.
Mr. Crandell?
Yeah. No.
Todd?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're doing kind of like a Mythbusters here because there are some misconceptions about what Racing for Recovery is, what we do, correct?
Many misconceptions.
Misconceptions.
Yeah.
And so do you have the answers? Like, are you a good person to talk to?
I'm a fairly good person to talk to. I've been around this for a while.
Okay. Yeah. Since the beginning.
Actually, yeah, since the beginning, yeah.
All right, so I have some questions here, and all of these questions, they have true or false answers. You may want to expound on them, but for right now, we're just looking for a true or false, and we'll come back to if you have a bit of a more complicated answer, we'll come back to that afterwards, okay?
Complicated or complex answer?
Complex.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, true or false? I have to compete in Ironman or run races to be a client.
False.
True or false? I need to be off of my blood pressure medication to become a client of Racing for Recovery.
Absolutely false.
3, while the mental and physical benefits of a holistic plant-based diet are irrefutable, you do not need to adhere to any specific diet at Racing for Recovery.
True.
Number 4, clients must all shower you with constant praise and attention.
That's absolutely false.
Absolutely false. Number 5, family members of clients are not only allowed to attend public groups, they are encouraged to attend.
100% true.
6, we do not offer medically assisted treatment.
We do not.
Okay.
True.
And finally, number 7, after you successfully complete your treatment here, you are on your own.
That's false.
That's false. Which one of these do you want to tackle first?
The blood pressure medication one was interesting.
Really? I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Well, because, all right, so I got sober through like a 12-step program.
Yeah. Me too.
Really?
True story. I went to, they don't want us to promote. I went to the traditional support group meetings because a variety of those when I first got sober.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's something that people don't think I did either.
Yeah.
Or they think I don't support them, which I do.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple of months ago, I was at a 12-step meeting, and I told everybody at that meeting where I worked, and everybody went around and said what they thought our program was about, and every single one of them had a misconception. Like every single person. They did all think you had to, maybe not like compete in Ironman races, but they thought like you had to run, or it was a running type program. They all thought you did have to be vegan. And just like a bunch of misconceptions. Why do you think those misconceptions are out there?
I don't like saying I don't know, but I don't know. Mm-hmm. Because none of that is in our literature. None of that has ever been stated by me or anybody in a Racing for Recovery meeting, employment, our books, our movies.
Maybe they just see like videos of you running these races and they're like, oh, that must be what that's about.
It's interesting because, I can't fault myself for how this program got started. And here's another probably misconception that people don't know. I was just going about my business with getting sober. I was 8 years sober. I did pick up doing the Ironman triathlon. I had watched it during my addiction and said, I want to do that someday. I had no idea when. It was just, I want to do that someday. But being athletic my entire life, after I was done, playing hockey, I was like, I'm looking for something else. Mm-hmm. And it was something else too that I could do by myself that I didn't need a team to be involved with. So I started doing Ironman, and it was because the local Toledo Blade ran a story about my life at that point, just basically from addict to Ironman. The response from that newspaper article was unbelievable. And that's when I call it, I got another gift that I knew I could do something with this. I didn't know what. I didn't exactly know what I was going to do with it, but I knew I could do something because of the response from that newspaper article.
Right.
So I think a lot of times, people think, well, I think all kinds of stuff. Oh, I want everybody to know I did an Ironman. Yes and no. That marketing thing works. It started Racing for Recovery here in Toledo, and everywhere I go in the world doing those Ironmans, that hook of from addict to Ironman, the media cover it, and I use the media to promote the message of Racing for Recovery.
And promotes the message of this place, Racing for Recovery, but also just promotes the message of if you get sober, you can really do anything you want. And to me, like watching you, that seems to be more your point. Like your thing was Ironman, your thing was through athletics and music. But really, you are just about people latching on to whatever their passion is.
Yes.
And going for it.
Correct. We don't tell people how to do this. We offer them a concept that then the person gets an opportunity to tailor make it for themselves. Even with, we are going to do some myth busting today. I wanted to bring this up when we're talking about, Racing for Recovery is all about Ironman. Why don't people look at Race for the Cure about that?
Yeah.
You think of Race for the Cure, yes, they have a 5K run, and that's initially what we first did. I wanted to put on a 5K run to promote awareness to the benefits of being sober. But I get confused where it's like, well, Race for the Cure, it's the same thing, except with cancer. So why is it like with us because it's not. And that's one event we do one time a year. The other 364 days of the year, we're providing clinical, licensed, established sobriety services for people and their families.
Like, what do you advocate for as far as first coming here?
I advocate having a mindset in recovery, coming to Racing for Recovery on day one, the same thing we did when we ended our addiction. Open-minded to any alcohol, any drug, any form to ingest that. We didn't care. We did it.
And willing to work to get it.
Willing to work to get it and didn't question the person that was giving it to us. Did anybody ever question a drug dealer and say, how many times was this danced on with other stuff? Never. You just took it blindly and did it. Why not put that same mentality into this?
Yeah.
I thought of this too, and I've never said it this way, and I enjoy talking to you like this. You were talking about, for me, music and sports were my two things. They were. I call those coping skills. So again, in treatment, we're always hearing about use effective coping skills. Well, to me, an effective coping skill is more than getting a worksheet and writing down your drug of choice for the 15th time.
Sure.
And then writing a little smiley face or a frown face on how you're feeling today. Those aren't coping skills.
I definitely did that in the rehab program I went to.
Yeah, that's not a coping skill. That's something to occupy 15 minutes of an IOP group that you should be doing something else with.
Sure.
Coping skills are not only things that can help people overcome a choice to use drugs. They actually can keep people alive. So I need people to really start understanding, personally what I did that led to the forming of this, and then what those personal situations are now being offered through Racing for Recovery that, again, the person themselves, they get to decide what their thing is, except for country music. Everybody knows that. Yeah. But it's like anything. We're wearing two different color shirts. You went to a different high school than I did. We went to different colleges. We may have a different political view. We don't, but some people do. A recovery is the same thing. The goal is to stay sober and enjoy your life. Not be sober and be miserable.
Because those people do exist.
I know. And that's one thing that turned me off in the traditional meetings. I'm looking around and I'm like, I'm looking for someone to tell me or explain to me the pain emotionally from trauma that I went through. Can somebody help me with that? And then offer me a way out that I enjoy. I'm not saying that the traditional format does not offer a way out. They do, one way. And you're told if you don't do this, you will not make it. And that's just not true.
So to talk about this program and to go from hypothetical to very practical and examples, without saying the person's name, obviously, I want you to get somebody's name in your head right now who's in this program currently, who you really admire what they're doing in this program. Let me know when you have somebody in mind.
Go ahead.
Okay. What are they doing on a daily basis that makes you watch them and be like, they are working this program? Like, give me some practice, some everyday things that person is doing.
They wake up without an alarm clock.
Okay.
They come here. They do something. What that something is, again, something in the gym. People walk around our building. People come in and read one of our books. People come in and pray. Then we offer them a plant-based breakfast. Right there, you're starting your day off well. Next, they are learning about the impact of their trauma or their abuse, which is trauma. They're learning about the pain and the agony and the toll that took on them mentally, physically, spiritually, psychologically, emotionally. They are really starting to comprehend the toll that took. That is done through IOP groups, mental health counseling, all of the services that Racing for Recovery offers. They are being supportive. I see people when they are struggling, which is big idea number 3 of our 4 big ideas. We're not immune to life's hardships, which 9 times out of 10 is dealing with trauma that hasn't quite been sorted yet, or emotional things that people have not quite applied effective coping skills to. When they are working on those things, that's when I see a turn. When they are now volunteering, whether it's helping Dean in the kitchen to prepare the meeting or the food for tonight's meeting, picking up trash around the building, doing something to give it back. And when I see them going to sleep without the use of any sedatives, not all jacked up on caffeine, going to bed with a positive mindset towards self and others, with a calm state of mind, sleeping well and getting up and doing it the next day. And when I see that being done consistently, then I am like, that person's doing it. And then the only question is, how far are they going to go?
I do have to say, I've been here for a year, and Dean, Chef Dean, is in the kitchen, and probably over the course of the year, he has had like a group of, I don't know, anywhere 10 to 15 people who have volunteered on a regular basis with him in the kitchen. And every single one of those people in there, I'm like, oh, you're doing it. Every single one of the people volunteering in there on a regular basis, maybe it's just because you're getting out of your own head for the first time in a long time. And you're putting work in, you're giving back to a community. Every single one of those people in there every day seem like they're doing well.
When you think, and you're talking about it, when you think of volunteer, I know when we're in addiction, it's all about us. Yes, I understand, and we support this. It is about you as the individual getting your act together, right? But at some point, it's also about getting out of self and being service to those who are in need in any capacity. We offer that free plant-based dinner for people every Thursday night out here. We've been doing it for 8 years or whatever. It takes people to make that happen. And even, here's another myth buster. Todd's all about money. Well, I volunteered running the Racing for Recovery support group meeting for 15 years and doing this, volunteering just because it was the right thing to do. So there's another myth buster that focuses on, again, when we see people that are volunteering, that's another level of, wow, they're really doing it.
Yeah. And, what was number 5, family members of clients are not only allowed to attend public groups, they are encouraged to attend. For the first time in my sobriety, somebody who is very near and dear to me uh, came to me, Matt, I have a drinking issue. And it was somebody who I never imagined was struggling with this. And to hear like the shame and the embarrassment, and to hear this person break down, because they had always been somebody I looked up to, and I still do, even more so now, of taking that step. But it was just weird to be on the other side of it, because I was always the one causing my family and friends that heartbreak. And to be for kind of like the first time on the other side of it, it was like, oh man, it gave me a window into kind of what me going through this has done to like my parents, for instance.
I'm proud that we're the first program that ever put both sides together. And it was a former girlfriend of mine that when I was making feeble attempts to get sober, I remember her saying to me, it doesn't matter what you do, I'm by myself. Now I know people can say, well, they can go to a family group for families. Yes, you can. But each side is missing what the other side does and feels, and to learn from them. And I'll tell you, and you said it too, Matt, we as the substance abusers need to listen to people that are drinking and drugging traumatize. It's not a beat up session. It's not to belittle us. It's just to really sit back and just listen to the chaos that we caused. Not on purpose, but again, back to unresolved issues that led to a choice to use drugs that then caused a lot of chaos. I'm proud of that. We have people that'll be here tonight that are coming with their moms or their dads.
A lot of people do utilize the opportunity. And I wasn't expecting that. I knew people talked about, well, family are welcome. And I thought, okay, maybe I'd see maybe some person bring their brother or something in. I didn't think it would be as prevalent as what it is. Every meeting, somebody has family, nephews or kids or their mom or their brothers. Like every single meeting, people are bringing their family.
If people really look at what Racing for Recovery does and does not do, this is really applicable for anybody. We're not a drug treatment center. We are a mental and emotional wellness agency. That's a different ballgame, and everybody needs that. Now we're back to the benefits of food and exercise, right? And you'd think, well, everybody knows exercise is good. Okay, well, why are kids not getting as much recess as they used to? And do we really understand the benefits of that? And that's where I don't think we do. I know I didn't. I knew oh yeah, I feel better when I started exercising. Day one, you asked me earlier, day one of sobriety, I was doing push-ups, puking, and drinking smoothies. And I knew I had to work that stuff out of me, but I didn't know the serotonin levels and all that stuff that are in the brain, what it really was doing to me. It's fascinating. And I think most people don't know that.
So talk about your decision to not pursue medically assisted treatment for Racing for Recovery.
Well, I'm going to go back to the money thing. When we came out here, I had several companies, physicians that were coming out pushing MAT, and they would say, or I would say, do you know what this program is based on? And they didn't. And then I'd tell them about exercise and nutrition and how those are free and they're not medicine. The next statement would be, well, do you know how much money you could make? And I said, this is not about money. And you're talking millions of dollars. That's not what we do. And the other reason I didn't want to do that is people were foggy. And it's like, if you're foggy, how can you clearly absorb intellectually what we're trying to get you to do? And then I did not want someone who was on any form of MAT to run out and then sell things to get other things and somebody die here. I didn't want
people might not know what MAT is. Are we talking like Suboxone and methadone?
We're talking all of it. Now, medically assisted treatment is what MAT is. So, methadone, Suboxone, they're still under the influence. Mm-hmm. Now, we do accept the Vivitrol shot.
Yeah.
Because that's a different ball game.
I was on the Vivitrol shot for like a year.
Different thing. Even if you want to use, you can't. That's different. Mm-hmm. Back in my day, I forget what it was that I tried for a little bit. I'm old. I forgot what that was. But so again, I want people to be clear in here. Be clear, not in a fog. And so there's a couple of things that we do offer and then we will accept, and then others that we don't. Vivitrol shot, you're good. Mm-hmm. The blood pressure thing, that's another thing. We don't do medical. Mm-hmm. So anything that's medical, we have nobody on our staff that can even talk about anything medical. We refer out. Mm-hmm. So if you need to take blood pressure medication, you're definitely welcome to come to Racing for Recovery.
Well, that was another one of those misconceptions at that meeting I was at. Somebody was like, well, I can't go because I have to be on heart medication. It's like, but if somebody called, my office used to be right next to intake, and I'd hear people call and they would talk about, maybe they were on Suboxone or maybe they had drank the night before, or, they were on something currently that prevented them from being able to go through the intake process and start on day one here. But the folks at intake would find them a higher level of care, refer them out, right? Like what is that process like?
If we can't serve you, we want to say yes. When that phone rings, we want to say yes to anybody. And I'm going to talk about money here because that's one of these things that people say we're all about money. I can sleep at night knowing the pro bono services that we offer. You call here, if we can help you, we're going to help you. Insurance or no insurance, we're going to help you. If we can't help you, and we're talking about detox, we're talking about medications that no one here can prescribe. I can diagnose, I can't prescribe. We refer out, plain as day. Now, somebody may be upset that we can't accommodate them, but it's actually in their best interest. So if we're saying no, there's a reason that we're saying no that is showing our care for the person. We're not just going to bring people in here so we can get paid to do an assessment on them. We want to bring people in here that we can serve. And if we can't serve you, we'll send you out somewhere to get sorted on a couple of these issues we're talking about so you can come back here, and then we will more effectively serve your needs. Mm-hmm.
This person who I was talking about close to me who's going through this, they sounded so miserable, which broke my heart. And I don't even think it was from withdrawal or the effects of the substances. I think it was fear for what is my life going to be like without these substances. In that transition into, well, what does life look like without this? Because it's becomes such a core of who you are, or at least it feels that way when you're using. It's such a big part of your life that it's like, well, what is life going to be without this?
This actually talking about it with a clear mind, a healing heart, and a body that is functioning. I'm getting older. I was going to say something sarcastic about all we are is about running, but I won't. This is what it is. So the listener, and I know there's somebody that's going to watch this, when you're listening to us right now, this is what sobriety is. The banter that you and I have is great. Mm-hmm. Why aren't we talking about it's okay to laugh in sobriety? It is. It's
almost
great.
Necessary.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not. Again, this is another thing when I was seeking help, and I would hear things like, well, if you want what I have, you'll do what I do. And I'm looking and I'm like, but I don't want that. And again, if I would say what was said to me, well, if you want what I have, you'll do X number of Ironmans. Well, I understand people don't want to do that, but we're groomed to think that way. And it's that fear. If you don't do this, you won't make it. So you take a person who's suicidal, depressed, has no self-worth, no self-esteem, and if you don't like everything, you're like, why should I even do this? And I believe in saying, what do you need? What can we do for you? Not tell you what you need to do, ask you what we can do to help you do what you need to do. Mm-hmm. Big difference in that. So
Yeah.
again, I want people to see that this is what sobriety looks like. Look at this guy playing music. That's what sobriety looks like.
Yeah.
There's a smile on his face right there, even though has some physical issues. That's sobriety.
Well, actually, now that you're looking here, what do you call this room that we're in?
We call this the green room?
The green room. I thought that was more like colloquial. Like what is it? This like the big IOP room?
This is the big support group meeting room that we do conduct IOP services. When we're really full, we split them up into the two IOP rooms or mental wellness rooms. But there's a lot of stuff that happens in this room. But mainly, this was the start of the Racing for Recovery support group meetings.
There's a live stream here every Thursday night, 6:30 to 7:30, and we got cameras, boom, 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 and boom. Is this true or false that you got the idea to put the big board here from a Motley Crue concert?
False.
False.
A Guns N' Roses concert.
A Guns N' Roses concert.
We invested a lot of money into the technology to deliver this product. Again, I love saying this, first ones to do this, first ones to ever implement the live stream and then get it to this level, which I'm thankful for you guys for doing all this. Free service for anybody around the globe to be a part of this. Ask questions on our chat. It's great. And the live stream, again, is a way for families and those battling from self-harm of any capacity to come together and be in a pretty unique looking room with an uplifting vibe and some clinical help. We used to have Team Racing for Recovery a long time ago. Back actually 2003, it was on our website. So I did a live chat called Team Racing for Recovery. And you see the smirk on my face?
I do.
Okay. Back in 2003. And it was connecting people via chat. We had people, different countries all over. So that concept was what started it. Then over the years of doing media stuff or whatever, people would say to me, Todd, can you bring this to Kansas? Can you bring it to the United Kingdom? And I kept thinking, how the heck do we do that? So it was rattling around in my head for years. So we tried various things, having a phone out so that people could listen to, and then we came up with the live stream video concept. And we're looking at adding to that with having people that can call in or Zoom in and be a part of it now with technology. And that's where it started from. And it's just, you guys have improved the technology of it over the years, but the concept was just reaching more people that couldn't be here. And even back to the media, it's always what's in it for me. So if I'm in Boston, what's in it for Boston? The live stream.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, what are you're going to come out and run our 5K in October? That's cool. But how do you benefit from it now? Well, our books, our movies, but weekly, it's this. Then that developed into the podcast of the success stories. So if you go to our YouTube page, it's chock full of success and support.
Yeah.
That is the concept to just deliver it to more people.
And I just feel like people love recovery stories because even if you aren't in recovery or haven't struggled with substance use disorders or problems, everybody likes a redemption story.
Great word.
It's just a feel-good story.
Yeah, right.
And it gives people the knowledge that people do have the capacity to change. And a lot of folks don't believe that.
Well, and what are we talking about? We're talking about hurting people that have no self-worth. And again, clinically, why is that happening? Because there's issues. And kids, we did the prison podcast, if you will. Brilliant. Great interview with those guys. So if you haven't seen that, please go back and watch that. How did those guys end up there? All three of them talked about trauma that never got addressed, that then they got in trouble, that led to a conduct disorder diagnosis or suspended from school, then being labeled as an outcast.
Well, and the feeling that not only could you not be vulnerable, but you were punished for being vulnerable.
That's not manly or any of that. And now, thankfully, people are starting to look at, well, it's okay to be a man and to ask for help. But when people are feeling that low, and we both have talked about this, I'm not immune to that. You're not. There's reasons why, and Racing for Recovery is the place to get the answers to those questions and then assist you in not only overcoming them, but creating your own balanced, holistic lifestyle that you're excited to wake up in the day. I didn't get sober to be miserable. I got sober to be happy and go out and really enjoy things. That's our slogan. With sobriety, anything is possible, and it is true. It takes a lot of work, but it's true.
It does, yeah. Is there anything else you want to cover? Any other myths that need to be busted here?
Ask me a couple. We did the blood pressure thing.
Yeah, we did.
Let's talk about vegan.
Yeah,
we haven't talked about that. I don't like the word vegan just as much as
I use the word plant-based.
That's good, but I hear vegan a lot. I have to be vegan to come there. No, because unfortunately, vegan, even though it is a very caring lifestyle, has a negative connotation, just as addict does. And we don't do labels here. I went plant-based 9 years ago, February 1st, 2016. Again, this is just educational stuff. And a lot of this, when I speak like this, is my factual way of living. It's not part of Racing for Recovery's curriculum, but nutrition is. So there's a delicate dance that I have to do in this. We don't want people to be unhealthy at any capacity. And I believe that a plant-based nutritional lifestyle is the best nutrition you can get. And if you don't believe me, read Do No Harm. There's plenty of facts that are out there that will validate what I know personally for the past 9 years.
Watch that podcast you did with Melanie Worley. Dr. Melanie Worley,
yes.
she cites more like statistics and research-based literature about it.
One thing about that, I am open to discussions, but I'm not open to debates on facts. So when it's like saying, well, I want to argue with you if the sun's going to rise tomorrow. I'm not really interested in that because it's going to. So when we start talking about the benefits of not eating dead animals, they're facts. It's not my opinion. So if you want to have a conversation about that, that's no problem, but I'm not going to debate people.
Well, and there certainly are folks who have read Do No Harm and who have adopted a plant-based lifestyle. There are folks who, while they're not plant-based, they've definitely adopted some of the sensibilities into their lives. I feel like most people here are receptive to it, maybe without adopting every single aspect of a plant-based lifestyle.
One of the things, too, I remember Ironman, a couple years ago, they had a sponsor. Chocolate milk was their sponsor.
Really?
Yeah.
That seems like such a bad idea.
Yeah, totally. People have to understand that dairy products cause inflammation. Meat causes inflammation. So you take a physical event like the Ironman, your muscles are going to be inflamed, right? So why do we then think it's okay to have a pizza after that or a cheeseburger? And I used to do it. I did it.
Yeah.
You know, and when I started learning about this, I'm like, why do I want to add more inflammation to a body that is clearly already inflamed? And these are the things that people don't know. So I just want to, just as I want to educate people on all the other things that Racing for Recovery is doing, I'm just trying to educate them on what food, what you should eat and shouldn't eat can really benefit you physically and mentally, which will enhance your mood.
Well, it goes too far to me when you start degrading people who need to wake up with an alarm clock.
Degrading.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah,
Yeah. You still need an alarm clock.
Well, I mean, half the folks who work here wake up like at 4 a.m.
I know.
And like, good, like, cool, like, good for
Yeah.
you. I am not like that.
Do you still need an alarm clock?
I could probably go without setting one because I think I would. I wake up at 6:30, and I probably would wake up right at 6:30, but I just set one just in case.
Turn it off tonight. Just see.
But what if I'm late tomorrow?
You get a pass. I'll talk to the owner. Yeah, so jokingly and very, very seriously with some of the myths that we need to bust today. I've been sober, uninterrupted sobriety since April 15th of 1993. That's not California sober. Mm-hmm. That's not using ketamine, psychedelics to deal with trauma. I've had nothing in my body for over 32 years. That's a fact, true fact. What else do I need to address? I'm licensed. I'm licensed with 2 licenses, a licensed professional clinical counselor with supervision status, as I just did with Shane. I'm also an LICDC-CS, which is a licensed independent chemical dependency counselor with clinical supervision status. I can diagnose, but I can't prescribe. I do have a master's degree in counseling. So those are all facts that sometimes are disputed or whatever, said that are not true. Those are definitely true statements.
Who's going around refuting that in the community?
You'd be amazed at some of the things. You're not sober. Yes, part of me, I'm like, why am I doing this? Well, I'm doing this because I'm just making some statements. That's it, based on some things that I've heard that have been almost laughable. And in all honesty, the people that have said stuff like this, I have empathy for them, and they're welcome to come here and get some help. But I need people to understand, I'm sober. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you are sober. Yeah. I can attest to that. Although, why do so many people try the California sober thing? It's just like, they need some kind of escape from reality like that. Because I tried it too at one point.
It just doesn't work. I think a lot of people want shortcuts.
Yeah.
There are no shortcuts in this. I am proud of the things that Racing for Recovery has earned and that I have personally earned. No one handed me this stuff. Mm. It's even like, sorry, I'm going to talk about Ironman for a second. I can't show up to my next race and go, well, can you just give me the medal because I've done a few of these beforehand. It doesn't work that way.
Well, I was watching that Mark Allen interview. Mark Allen, 6-time world champion, Ironman champion, and a colleague of yours. And he was interviewed for the Racing for Recovery documentary. I'm not sure they used all of the footage, but I was going through it. And he was talking about the support that when I went to your Ironman competitions, it felt like a great support group meeting because there's so many people there. They're all positive. They're showing up maybe to support 1-2 competitors, but they're cheering for everybody. Yeah. It's so supportive. And he was talking about that. And he's like, the support gets me to the start line. But once it starts, it's up to me and only me to finish.
That's what I love about it. And for me to have Mark Allen being interviewed for our documentary, when I watched that race in a complete blackout.
Oh, he was in that race, the one you watched?
It's in the early, he won that race, I believe, because it was in the early 90s, and he won it 6 years in a row.
Yeah.
But he actually, if the story that I'm about to tell is accurate, which I believe it is, Adam and Amanda, who were clients here, who now work here, who I actually married, who came to Ironman St. George with me, it's somehow around the finish line, it was mentioned that it was my 90th Ironman at the time, and Mark heard it and waited for me to be at the finish line. So I come staggering through the finish, and there's Mark Allen to congratulate me, and I was like, whoa. So he coached me, as was in the documentary and some of the reels that we're doing, and he was at my 100th Ironman as well. But you talk about, if that's not an example of with sobriety, anything is possible, I don't know what is. I mean, we can use that example for anybody's musical hero, political hero, literary person, whatever, think of that person personally supporting what you're doing with some humor in his stuff as well. And these are the things that I want people to see. That's what Iron Man is. And it's not, good God, I've had enough media coverage and enough kind words said to me. I'm not in this so somebody can give me a pat on the back anymore. I use what has worked to promote Racing for Recovery since its inception. If it's not broke, why fix it?
Well, and also, I really respect people who undertake a discipline, whether it be karate or Ironman or music or, computers, whatever it is, somebody who undertakes a path of, I don't know, of a mentor, a trainer to a trainee kind of relationship. I really have a lot of respect for people who just try to get good at something.
Well, look at Shane, who was here, and I've talked about Shane a lot. He's probably getting tired of it. He was on the news with me in Chattanooga or whatever, but we're talking about the family concept. I remember Shane's first support group meeting. He sat right over there in that corner, and his mom sat right over here in this corner, and his mom was pouring her heart out about how she felt about her son. And I remember, I never even met Shane. I remember looking at him and I said, "Do you hear your mom right now?" And from that moment, look where he is. Yeah. So whatever.
And his mom still comes to every meeting. She
does.
Even if he doesn't come, she comes to everyone.
It's a riot.
Yeah.
So it's what we do is good. Back to the California sober thing. There's no shortcuts. And what's scary to me is, and I put a name on this, Matthew Perry died from a ketamine overdose. And at the time, he was out promoting his book and was all over the news talking about he's sober. That's what's scary to me.
Yeah.
If you're going to talk about this, be this. Because if you're not, get some help, then at some point start talking. I think people are talking a little bit too soon before they really should.
Yeah.
Because when you're going to share your story, it's not about how drunk you got. It's understanding why you were drinking and then what you've done to overcome that pain that you don't drink anymore. And I'm not talking for, 30, 60, 90 days. Let's get some time. Let's get some things in there. I'm not minimizing anybody's time in recovery. I'm saying for that story to be impactful, let's pack some other stuff to the resume. And even I was watching a podcast the other day where there was the host was talking about his psychedelic. He said he was sober, then started talking about his psychedelic usage to help him cope with trauma. And I'm like, well, that's not sobriety. And then still said, well, yeah, I still smoke a little weed here and there. And I turned it off.
Yeah.
That's not, I think we're promoting things that, to me, I'm like, why are we promoting that? They're not sober?
Well, and this isn't a war story of mine. I'm talking about this because it is something that I learned, a concrete thing that I noticed in myself when I was trying to use marijuana. I wasn't drinking, but I noticed that if I was driving home and I didn't have any marijuana, I didn't want to go home. I didn't look forward to going home unless I had that waiting for me. And it's just a clear indication of you are seeking escapism.
Yeah.
And once I realized that, I was just like, this is just like drinking. It's just trying to escape reality.
Well, was it for anxiety or trying to cope with
Well,
something?
the rehab clinic I went to, I did not come to Racing for Recovery. I won't say the name of the place, but I don't know what my doctor was thinking. Maybe they thought I was hopeless and that I wasn't going to be able to quit drinking unless I had something. And so she wrote me a green card, a medicinal marijuana card. And maybe she was trying to do risk management, or I don't know what she was doing. It did not work, though.
Yeah, that's another thing that I do not believe in is risk management, or what's the other term where just minimal usage or whatever. I cut it all out, including smoking. Statistically, you're in the high 90 percentile. If you cut it all out at once, you're more likely to sustain it. Not, you'll hear people, one thing at a time. And I go back to when we were doing drugs, it wasn't one thing at a time. It was everything all the time, as much as we can do.
Of course.
So why not put that same mindset to self-betterment? That's not a difficult concept to really understand. We're professionals at self-destruction because there's a lot of effort and knowledge in how to scam, how to do whatever. There's a lot of work in that. It takes a lot of work to be addicted and to mess your life up.
It does.
Put that same effort into getting better, and some good things are going to happen.
Yeah. It's really amazing to try at something. It was weird being 35 is how old I was when I got sober. And it was like, I feel like this is the first time I've ever really put my full effort into something. And I'm not talking about just sobriety, but by being sober, I could put my full effort into anything I wanted to. And it was just like, it's just crazy that I never really tried my entire life. The only thing I really tried was to escape through drugs and alcohol.
I want to say something that you can turn into something, hopefully, that we can use. With some of these Mythbusters, you have to be vegan, and you have to run. We'll take out the blood pressure medication. I forget what the other one. Well, let's just use being vegan and running. What if that was? What if I could say 100%, you do these things, you'll never use again? Mm-hmm. What's wrong with that?
I don't think anything's wrong with that.
That's part of another question I have. Like, well, what if it does work for everybody? And as opposed to condemning it, how about just try it? It's no different than what the traditional groups were saying. Hey, what do they say? If you don't like it, go back out and practice some more, whatever.
Yeah.
I wouldn't tell somebody to go use again, but I'm like, what are you out by trying this? Mm-hmm. Because I go back to the same mentality. If I'm sitting here, and I used this in group actually the other day, I said, if I have pure Peruvian pink cocaine, because most people don't understand that pure blow is pink, it's not actually white. And I said, it's free, but you have to run a marathon to get it. I know I'd be putting on some shoes. I'm running barefoot in the snow, in the rain, in a pair of shorts with nothing. I'd do whatever to get that. Mm-hmm. So if somebody, I was looking for that when I first got sober, I'll do whatever I have to do to get better. And I did. Yeah. I just found a lot of other things that helped me in that self-betterment along the way.
Well, I know another Mythbuster that you're really passionate about, and maybe this will be the last one before we wrap it up. At least this edition. This was fun, and I think we could even make a series out of this if we wanted to. Did you ever relapse?
First of all, I don't like that term.
I know you don't, and that's what we're leading into.
I can't stand that.
Well, I guess I should phrase it as, well, everybody knows you're going to say false to this. Is relapse a part of recovery?
No, relapse is not a part of recovery. And on a serious note, with respect to the families, I never am going to take a call from a mom that said, you and your program told my son relapse was part of recovery and he chose to use and is now dead. That is never going to happen here. Mm-hmm. Never. There is no relapse. There is no slip. It's 90 degrees outside. We did this in Texas, remember?
We did. Yeah.
There's no slips. You didn't slip and fall and a crack pipe ended up in your mouth. You chose to use. Choose sobriety. That can kill people. Mm-hmm. Literally, and it has.
And it does often nowadays.
Yes. No, we don't use relapse word. We don't use slip. What's the other one? I remember a guy came to our support group meeting one time and said he was sober for 3 years with 6 slips. The whole place was like, what? It was his first time coming, and we got him sorted by the end of the meeting, but I'm like, what is that, man? Somebody mentioned it to me the other day. Boy, I forget all the things that happen to me on a daily basis. 20 years with one usage 10 years ago. And I said, so he got 10 years of sobriety?
I've heard people have like 3 different sober dates.
Yeah.
Well, my sober date from alcohol is this,
Yeah.
my sober date from marijuana is this, and cocaine is this. And it's like, well, just take that most recent one, and that's your
Right.
sober date.
And you can't times it by 3.
Yeah.
And we're chuckling about this because this is what I'm talking about. We've kind of like sports. You know, everybody gets an award for participating. You can participate, but you don't get unless you earn.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Mm-hmm.
That's just it.
Well, closing up here, you are leading the live stream tonight. This obviously won't be edited for people to watch before 6:30 tonight. What is the meeting going to be about?
I am going to ask everybody, describe one word about yourself that you never felt before you came to Racing for Recovery. I've never asked that before.
I like that.
Then I think I'm also going to do, what is the difference between self-esteem and confidence? Can you have confidence without the best self-esteem? And I brought that up because I would say yes to that. That is true in my case. I had confidence, haven't always had the best self-esteem, and I'm trying to make those, I'm working to make those be equal.
The program that I got sober through, they talk about people with our kind of background as being egomaniacs with inferiority complexes.
I can see that.
Yeah, I can too. All right, well, we'll do this again.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, yes, sir.